traveling with Srila Prabhupada in India about his visit to Indore for the Gita Jayanti celebrations. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Adakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Stam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sta Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Jai. So we recently celebrated Gita Jayanti, and we are in the midst of our Bhagavad Gita distribution marathon. So I will read from my forthcoming book about traveling with Srila Prabhupada in India, about his visit to Gorakhpur for the Gita Jayanti celebrations. This is chapter 8, Gorakhpur, February 3rd to 20th, 1971. From the Ardha Kumbh Mela, we traveled with Srila Prabhupada by train to Gorakhpur, having been invited by his only disciple there, Ramananda Das, Dr. Ravindra Pratap Rao, a research chemist who had met him in San Francisco and taken initiation in 1967, and had now returned to Gorakhpur and was teaching chemistry at Gorakhpur University. On the way, a few of us were in Prabhupada's compartment, and he asked a devotee to read from the Krishna book. Should I read from any particular place? The devotee asked. No, Prabhupada replied. It is all nectar. So the devotee opened the book to the story of Dhenukasura, the ass demon, who was killed by Balaram. At the beginning of the story, the cowherd boys approach Lord Krishna and say, "We smell such sweet fruits in the Talavan forest, but we cannot enjoy them because of the demons there." When the devotee read this, Srila Prabhupada opened his eyes wide and exclaimed, "Just see how the cowherd boys want to engage Krishna for their sense gratification." After reading some time more, the devotee showed us all the illustration of the pastime. Prabhupada was very pleased and commented, "The artists have done a great service. Their service will not go in vain." Prabhupada was hoping to get land on the university campus to establish a temple. On February 19th, he wrote to Rupanuga Das, quote, I am negotiating with local university authorities to donate a piece of land within the university campus so that we may construct a nice temple there and preach this cult amongst the students. If this program is successful here, then we shall be able to introduce this system in all universities of the world, and probably in different factories, institutes, etc., gradually. And on February 24th, he added to Tulsidas, quote, "We want to influence these misguided college students so that they might take to this Krishna consciousness movement very seriously. And if we can establish a seat of Krishna consciousness, these students may take their doctorate degree in Krishna consciousness and go out and preach all over the world." Apparently, though, not much was happening. And Tamal Krishna was becoming impatient and wanted Prabhupada to move on. But Prabhupada said, "I have my plans, you have your plans, and Krishna has his plans." He wanted to wait and see if Krishna wanted us to get the place. Another time, Tamal Krishna asked Prabhupada, "I'm so busy serving you, what if death comes while I'm engaged in service? I won't be able to think of Krishna." And Prabhupada replied, "Lord Chaitanya will forcibly enter your mind." After several days at Ramananda's modest residence, we relocated to Sri Krishna Niketan, the palatial estate and former residence of Sri Hanuman Prasad Podar, the renowned head of the Gita Press. Mr. Podar had extended an invitation in Gorakhpur when Srila Prabhupada had returned from a February 6th celebration of the 500th anniversary of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Benares. My first service in Gorakhpur was to go to newspapers and magazines and persuade them to publish articles about Prabhupada's visit and about Krishna consciousness in general. Enlivened, I mentioned my efforts to Prabhupada on a morning walk. "You are a very good public relations man," he responded. I was elated. The discussion turned to humility, and I remarked that sometimes I felt that I wasn't really doing anything for Krishna or Krishna consciousness. "That is good," Prabhupada said. "That feeling is humbleness. But sometimes that feeling is turned into Maya," I added, meaning that sometimes I felt discouraged about myself and lost my enthusiasm to preach. Prabhupada stopped walking and looked me in the eyes. "Turned into Maya?" he asked. "You are always in Maya." His words hit me hard, and as he and the other devotees continued their walk, I placed my forehead on the ground in obeisance. By Prabhupada's mercy, I understood my actual position and had gained a glimpse of his position as my spiritual master. He not only spoke about the importance of humility, he also knew how to humble us for our benefit. On another morning walk, I asked Prabhupada if there is any particular order in which I should read his books. I had heard that the sequence was first Sri Ishopanishad, then Bhagavad Gita, then the Nectar of Devotion, then Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. But he replied, no, they are all nectar. Wherever you have taste, you may read. I was always reading and trying to apply what I had read. And naturally questions arose. One morning I opened up and asked several of my questions, and after answering them all beautifully, clearing all my doubts, Prabhupada said, you read my books, especially Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. You read the Krishna book over and over again. I very much like reading the Krishna book, so when he gave that instruction, I thought, what a nice instruction. Go on reading Krishna book over and over again. Next, I describe a very significant meeting between me and Srila Prabhupada. Soon thereafter, Prabhupada received the latest issue of Back to Godhead, which included an article I had written in Boston, my first, The Genuine Spiritual Master. And Prabhupada called for me. So I joined in Boston, and Satsvarupa Das Adhikari then was the editor of Back to Godhead magazine, and he always wanted articles for Back to Godhead. And so I thought I would oblige, and I wrote an article called The Genuine Spiritual Master. But it took time from when I wrote the article and submitted it to when the article was actually published in the magazine, and Prabhupada received the magazine in Gorakhpur. Soon thereafter, Prabhupada received the latest issue of Back to Godhead, which included an article I had written in Boston, The Genuine Spiritual Master, and called for me. The room was dimly lit. Only some narrow shafts of light pierced through the slim openings in the wooden shutters along the side. Sitting alone on his raised cushion at the far end of the temple room, Prabhupada was the very image of the eternal spiritual master, and his voice resonated with the truth of eternal time. I sat at his feet, eyes and ears wide open. I saw your article in Back to Godhead, he said. It was very nice. You should write. This is your first business. Go on writing. We require many, many such articles about Krishna consciousness. So you should devote yourself to writing. I will try, I said. But why are you asking me? I have no special qualification. We require many to do this work, and we need you also. So you travel with me, and I will guide you. You come and stay with me. I felt thrilled and honored. Srila Prabhupada had never before given me a direct instruction. In fact, we had hardly ever spoken, and now he was inviting me to stay with him. I felt a little intimidated and wondered how it would work. Also, I had always worked under my authorities, who would tell them about Prabhupada's proposal. So I asked, How will we decide whether I should travel with you or what I should do? Prabhupada replied, by mutual consultation. And he instructed, see that my books are accepted in the universities by the scholarly class. Then Prabhupada asked if I ever thought of getting married. No, I never think of getting married, I replied. And after a moment I added, the only time I ever thought of getting married was when I saw that all the GBCs were married. Prabhupada said, you will never be GBC. It is best to avoid marriage, he continued. Sex desire is like an itch. If you have an itch and you scratch it, it just becomes worse. Similarly, sex desire is there, and if you try to satisfy it, it will become worse. So it is better to tolerate. Not only sex desire, all the demands of the senses, eating and sleeping also, better to tolerate. So you remain brahmachari, and after 2 or 3 years, I will give you sannyas. In a matter of 20 minutes, Srila Prabhupada had given me my whole life's program in Krishna consciousness. I was always thinking of Prabhupada. Sometimes at night, I couldn't even sleep. I would just be thinking of how wonderful he was. I would stand at the balcony near his room and look out over the surrounding fields at the stars and the bright moon. I was in such ecstasy that he had read my article and invited me to travel with him, and I felt the awakening in my heart of a type of affection I had never felt before. Srila Prabhupada had his brass Radha Krishna deities with him in Gorakhpur, and he wanted the devotees to make an altar for them. Days passed, however, and nothing was happening. Finally, he took the matter into his own hands and personally organized the construction of the Singhasan. Kaushalya, the deity's pujari, got a large table and cleaned it thoroughly. Then Prabhupada had us get long bamboo poles to tie to the table's 4 legs and string to connect the tops of the poles. And he asked Himavati for her 2 best saris, one to drape across the top as the roof and one to drape over the front as a curtain. Later, Prabhupada wanted branches of trees and bushes to tie to the bamboo poles as decorations. I was still pretty new and not that capable of doing other services, so I was sent to find foliage. I went out to a thicket and was collecting branches and leaves. I wasn't tearing them live, I was looking for branches that had fallen. I kept going deeper into the woods and collecting more and more. I began at about 5 in the afternoon and it was getting toward nightfall, but I didn't know how much to bring or when to stop, so I just kept getting more and more. And it kept getting darker and darker. Eventually, I had a huge bundle, as much as I could possibly carry. I was carrying so many branches I could hardly walk. I made my way back to Sri Krishna Kirtan, to Sri Krishna Niketan, staggered up the stairs with my huge load, and there I saw Srila Prabhupada. The altar was already done. Practically all the devotees had gone to rest, and only Prabhupada and one or two other devotees were still there. Prabhupada was in an ecstatic mood. I think he was just really pleased that we finally had made an altar for the deities. So I dropped the bundle on the floor and offered my obeisances. And while I was on the floor, Prabhupada patted me on the back. It was one of the only times, maybe the only time, that he physically touched me. I looked up, and he was smiling broadly. I didn't know if he even needed any more foliage, but he was pleased by my effort and said, "Thank you very much." Srila Prabhupada was speaking every morning from the Bhagavatam, continuing with the story of Ajamil. And the significance of the holy name, and reading from the original Sanskrit commentary of Sripad Sridhar Swami from the 14th century. After one class, Angsaduta said to Prabhupada, "That was a wonderful lecture." Prabhupada asked, "Do you think so? What do the other devotees think?" Angsaduta replied, "Well, frankly speaking, Srila Prabhupada, most of the devotees were asleep in the class." "Yes, I know." Prabhupada said, "Practically, I'm speaking to only a few sincere disciples." Day after day, the problem persisted. Many devotees, including me, were falling asleep during class. So one morning, when Prabhupada noticed a devotee dozing, he stopped the class and told him, "You can go and lie down." "Why are you sitting and sleeping? This is not good. Sleeping from 10 to 4 is not sufficient. Why do you do like this, whole day and night, whenever you sit down? What is this? Every one of you, more or less. What is the reason?" Yamuna Devi ventured, "Inattentive." But Prabhupada said, "Inattentive means like this? No. Unless one is tired or has no sufficient sleep, one will not do like that. It is not inattentiveness." Guru Das suggested not enough sleep. But Prabhupada said, "Enough sleep. You require 24 hours to sleep?" If you sleep for 10 hours, that is not sufficient. Your business is to sleep only. So 10 hours or 8 hours sleep is not sufficient. Kumbhakarna. Just like Kumbhakarna, he was sleeping 6 months. Hibernation, Tamal Krishna interjected. Prabhupada chuckled and continued, "We are also sleeping 6 months in a year because we generally sleep 10 to 12 hours. So if you sleep half day, that means half year. We are all Kumbhakarnas. Anyone who sleeps more than 6 or 7 hours is a Kumbhakarna." Kumbhakarna was the brother of Ravana. He was sleeping 6 months, and 6 months he was awake. That means anyone who sleeps half the time, 12 hours out of 24, is a Kumbhakarna. One should not sleep more than 6 No, one should not sleep more than 7 hours at most. That is sufficient. If you can sleep 6 hours at night and 1 hour to rest in the daytime, that is sufficient. And if you keep more, you are Kumbhakarna. So you should adjust things. Nidrahara harakati vijito. That is the Goswamis. Sankhya purvaka namagana natibi kalavasani krito. Nidrahara viharakadi vijito. Chaitanya dino chayo. Radha Krishna guna smriter madhurima. Nandena sammohito. Vande rupa sanatano raghuyugo. Shri Jiva Gopalago. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord and bowing down in a scheduled measurement. In this way, they utilize their valuable lives, and in executing these devotional activities, they conquered overeating and sleeping, and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Sad Goswami Astika 6. So Srila Prabhupada continued speaking. We are followers of the Goswamis. Their whole time, 24 hours, was used in Krishna consciousness by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly, fixed up on big beads. So we have reduced that to 16. Haridas Thakur was chanting 3 times 64, or 192 rounds, and we are giving you only 16. We don't ask you to imitate Haridas Thakur, but he would not sleep or eat until he had finished his 192 rounds. And Raghunath Das Goswami was offering obeisances around the whole Radha Kund. So many times I shall fall down. He was falling down, dandavat. From the point where your head is touching, you have a line. Stand there and again fall down. Again stand and again fall down. Just see how good exercise it is. This is called tapasya, austerity. Because we have got this body, it requires eating, sleeping, mating. So the arrangement is there. Eating is there, sleeping is there, mating is there, defending is there, but not excessively. Nidrahara vihara kadi vijito. The very word is used, vijita. You should not be conquered by them. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are required, but you should not be conquered them. You should conquer them. So we should always be conscious of our responsibility. That will help us. We must stay awake. Utishtaha, always remain awake. Prabhupada was referring to a Vedic injunction, Utishtaha Jagrataha Prapya Varan Nibodhata. Kshurasya Dara Nishita Daratyaya Durgam Patas Tad Kavayo Vadanti. Please wake up and try to understand the boon that you now have in the human form of life. The path of spiritual realization is very difficult. It is sharp like a razor's edge. That is the opinion of learned transcendental scholars. He continued, so regularly 7 hours sleep is sufficient. Why more? What is the cause? One cause may be that if we eat more, then we will sleep more. To reduce the sleeping process, the eating process should be reduced. If you fast for 1 day, don't take anything, you will see that you will sleep less, is it not? So yes, 6 hours from 10 to 4 is complete, and 1 hour during daytime. When one is engaged in serious business, he sleeps less. So one should be engaged in serious business. We have taken a very serious job. In this life, we want to finish this material existence for good. If you take responsibility in this way, everything will be adjusted. My Guru Maharaj used to say, finish this business in this life. Don't delay for the next life. He also said, don't give me trouble to again come here to deliver you. Seriously, we have taken a very, very responsible task to finish the so-called lording over this material nature. Our business is not to lord it over, but to serve Krishna. Preaching means you have to meet opposing elements. So many will criticize, so many will attack. Nityananda Prabhu was hurt personally, but still, outdoor. This is missionary work. Not that whenever I find some opportunity, go to some solitary place and sleep. This is not missionary life. So we should adjust things. While Srila Prabhupada was speaking, I was struggling to stay awake. But he spoke so strongly, so ferociously, like a lion, like Nrsimhadev, that we were practically forced to remain attentive to his words. After the talk, I commented to Tamal Krishna Goswami about this, and he replied, yes. By our own power, we cannot even stay awake. It is only by Srila Prabhupada's potency and mercy that we are able to stay awake. Two days later was the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Prabhupada wanted a big celebration. He told us to break the fast at noon, but to organize a big function and feast for the evening, and to invite all the people from the Gita press. In the morning, he taught us how to pray to his Guru Maharaj and how to organize the day's activities. Quote, we are following in the footsteps of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, and today is his appearance day. So we should honor this Tithi very respectfully and pray to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami that, quote, we are engaged in your service, so give us strength, give us intelligence. We are being guided by your servant, end quote. In this way we have to pray, and in the evening we shall distribute prasad. Not at noon. In the evening so many people will come, so they can be distributed prasad, and some of the members who can come from Bhakti Kar can also be invited. So arrange for this. And at 12 o'clock we offer Pushpanjali. You can chant the mantras and offer Pushpanjali flowers. And together we shall offer flowers. Actually, the worship is my duty. But sagosti, I have to offer my respect with my spiritual family members. Sagosti. That is called sagosti. Just like Vyasadeva says Dhimahi. He is offering prayer sagosti with all his followers and disciples. That is the process. So this flower offering will be done at 12 and feasting will be in the evening. And after offering Pushpanjali, we can take our usual food. And the feasting may be done in the evening. Make like that. Because some audience, some members, some visitors come, they should be given. In the evening, Srila Prabhupada spoke about the history of his relationship with and service to his Guru Maharaj. How much time do we have, by the way? Because there's a lot in this chapter. Sorry? And how long can we continue? 9:30? Okay. Well, I'll read this. It's very nice. Prabhupada. Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, my spiritual master, his Advent day today. In 1922, I was very much engaged in Congress activities. I was a very devout follower of Mahatma Gandhi. And at that time, I was also manager in a very big chemical concern in Calcutta. Perhaps you may know Dr. Bose's laboratory. Then you've heard many of these things. I'm just concerned about the time. And Prabhupada continues. In 1933, I was initiated officially. Although I was initiated in 1922, but officially I was initiated in 1933. Although from 1922 to 1933, I was always thinking of His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. In 1936, he was to pass away by 31st December. Out of my own accord, I wrote him one letter, that Guru Maharaj, you have got many disciples. Some of them are directly serving you. I could not do so. I am a householder. So if you give me some direct service to you, it will be very kind of you. He replied to that letter, you try to preach in English language, and both the persons who will be instructed by you yourself will be benefited. Again, he said the same thing that he ordered me in 1922 at the very first sight. Then he passed away on 31st December 1936. There were other God brothers. I consulted them that Guru Maharaj said like this, what can I do? So they encouraged me. I was writing. There was a paper, Harmonist. Then by their desires, I started this Back to Godhead in 1944. That was also started on his Advent Day. This Advent Day, Back to Godhead, was started. There was a meeting and many friends came, and we first started this Back to Godhead on his Advent Day in 1944. So our paper, Back to Godhead, the Advent Day is also today. And Hansaduta said, doubly auspicious. Then he tells the whole history of how he came to America. After the program, we disciples went downstairs to the outdoor veranda to honor the prasad feast. After some time, Prabhupada's servant Nanda Kumar came down with some of Prabhupada's remnants and 2 messages from His Divine Grace. First, quote, "My Guru Mahraj is very pleased with all of you," end quote. And second, quote, "The feast was so good, I could not control my senses." End quote. One morning, this is very significant. One morning, Prabhupada introduced the song Jai Radha Madhava. And in a class on February 17th, he discussed it. The enjoyer is Krishna. As we sang in this song, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. He is enjoying in Vrindavan. That is the real picture of God, simply enjoying. The Vrindavan Leela of Krishna is the perfect representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is simply enjoying, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the gopis, the cowherd boys, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, everyone is simply anxious how to make Krishna happy. They have no other business. The inhabitants of Vrindavan have no other business than to satisfy Krishna, and Krishna also has no other business. Thereafter, Prabhupada's deities became known as Radha Madhava. Yes, this is also very interesting and instructive. While speaking about Krishna consciousness primarily to Indians, Srila Prabhupada also touched one young American who was touring India. The man began to travel with us, and sometimes he would sit next to me when we honored prasad. "Krishna is definitely God," he would exclaim. "Otherwise, how could such a lowly creature as me get nice prasad every day? Krishna is truly merciful." After associating with us for some days, the young man had learned enough of the philosophy to pose a question. And one morning he asked Srila Prabhupada, "If all service is absolute, why do we have to chant 16 rounds?" Prabhupada answered, but somehow the young man was not satisfied and repeatedly pressed his point. Finally, Prabhupada sat erect and in a grave voice said, "Why chant 16 rounds? Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants you to." Even then, the young man persisted. "Why is any one activity of Krishna consciousness better than another? Take, for example, chanting 16 rounds. Suppose you're served Krishna 23 hours, and the last hour you can either finish your rounds or enroll someone as a life member of ISKCON. Instead of chanting your 16 rounds, Prabhupada, you cannot concoct. You have to abide by the orders of Krishna. Young man, then why? Prabhupada, there is no question of why. It is the order of Krishna's representative. You have to abide by that. You cannot say, why? As soon as you say why, then you are not fully surrendered. Surrendered means there is no why. It is ordered. It has to be done. That's all. Young man, suppose, for example, last night I was chanting. Then I thought, oh, I'm not concentrating on the chanting anymore. Now I should go to sleep. Prabhupada, therefore we have prescribed rules for chanting. You must finish 16 rounds, then go to sleep. You finish 16 rounds and sleep the whole day. I have no objection. Young man, but then, Prabhupada, there's no then. If you are so addicted to sleeping, you simply chant 16 rounds and sleep the whole day. But then also don't take food. Don't get up for taking prasadam. Now I have to honor prasadam. Let me eat sumptuously and then again sleep. Still, if you cannot do anything else, simply chant 16 rounds, take prasadam, and sleep. This is a special prerogative for you. Oh, this is also very special. While Srila Prabhupada was giving his Srimad Bhagavatam lectures, Kaushalya would wash the temple floor. One morning during his lecture, he expressed his appreciation while she, at the other end of the room, was scrubbing. Just see this girl, he exclaimed. This is first-class service. Prabhupada often complimented Kaushalya on her service, but one day he said, every morning you are washing the floor so nicely, but this morning you are washing the floor like a crow takes a bath. He shook his hand as if flicking water about. You do not know how to wash the floor. I'm going to show you. And then Srila Prabhupada came down from his Vyasasan and walked to the other end of the room, followed by all the devotees. Where is your bucket? Kaushalya brought it over. Then he asked for a rag, and she gave him hers. And then he crouched down and started scrubbing. This is how you wash the floor, he said, with lots of water. And you do it a section at a time, in 2 stages. First with a wet rag, and then with a wrung rag. He handed Kaushalya the wet rag and said, now wring it out. We were astonished to see Prabhupada washing the floor, demonstrating and instructing Kaushalya how it should be done. He repeated the process, washing a section of the floor and then drying it, careful not to touch the clean area with his feet. See, he said, that is expert. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, Kaushalya said, and went back to her task, as she later reflected. When Srila Prabhupada squatted down on the floor, I was awestruck. When he looked up at me and asked for the rag, he smiled and had a mischievous twinkle in his eyes. I stood by his side, working as his assistant, handing him the rags, wetting them, wringing them out. He was showing me that no matter how exalted we may be, we are servants of Radha and Krishna. It was not about how to wash a floor. I had been doing that every day. But I felt as though he decided to share a special moment with me, to thank me for my service to Radha Madhava. I don't really think he was teaching me how to wash the floor. He was showing me love and appreciation. And I'll come to the concluding section. One day, Srila Prabhupada went to visit Sri Hanuman Prasad Podar. Mr. Podar had been seriously ill for some time, but he was able to sit up and speak with Prabhupada for a half hour or so. He had founded and edited Kalyan magazine to present the spiritual glory of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and had dedicated his life to make available great works such as the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, and Upanishads, translated in Hindi to the common people at affordable prices. In 1927, he started publishing and editing Kalyan monthly magazine in Hindi with a view to, quote, the betterment of life and the well-being of all, end quote. Kalyan published special issues on various Puranas and Upanishads and on many more subjects related to Hindu culture and religion. Even a poor man could afford a copy of Podar's inexpensive Hindi Bhagavad Gita translation. They had been distributed by the millions. Mr. Podar had been a well-wisher to Srila Prabhupada in 1962, when Prabhupada had come to him in Gorakhpur and showed him his manuscript for the first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. Appreciating the importance of the work, Mr. Podar had helped Prabhupada get a donation for its printing from the Delhi industrialist Jai Dayal Dalmia. Now, nearly 10 years later, Prabhupada showed Mr. Podar his recent publications, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, The Nectar of Devotion, and a copy of Back to Godhead. Mr. Podar was impressed by Prabhupada's work, and the two exchanged their sincere appreciation of each other's contributions. Suryakant Fogla remembered, Hanuman Prasad Podar was my grandfather. He was very much ill at the time that Prabhupada came here to meet him in his bedroom upstairs. There are certain things that cannot be explained, but they were talking in the language of their eyes. The appreciation from both sides could easily be seen and appreciated by the persons who were present. A lot of Prabhupada's disciples were there, and everyone was almost in tears when these two saints, great people, met and talked to each other. They were talking about the spiritual world, and they were praising each other for their deeds. My grandfather also was saying that what Prabhupada has done, it is unforgettable for anyone of the world. Because to take our Indian culture to Western countries, the credit goes entirely to our beloved Srila Prabhupada. And he was the only person who took Radha and Krishna and the holy name outside in such a way that no one else could and will not be able in the future. So that's the basic discussion of Srila Prabhupada in Gorakhpur. And yeah, we have maybe 10 minutes left. So if any of you have any questions or comments, you can raise your hands. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this wonderful session. We are hoping the print book comes out very soon. Maharaj, I was an avid reader of Gorakhpur books before I came to ISKCON. They have one shop in Old Bombay area where they would display, and I would read almost 8 hours a day these books. So, so I have some idea, like we respect Sri Hanuman Prasad Podar for his spirituality and mainly because of his help to Srila Prabhupada. But from the point of view of just for our understanding, not in a mood of criticizing, I would like to know, is it true that, how close he was to Vaishnavism? And I heard, I'm not sure whether there was some touch of impersonalism or just for clarification purposes.
Well, I don't really have any authoritative information about Sri Hanuman Prasad Podar. But most people do have some tinge of impersonalism. And it could be true of him, but I don't know for sure. But certainly, his service to Srila Prabhupada is to his eternal benefit. And we appreciate him for that. And the account of the touching exchange between him and Srila Prabhupada at the end, as reported by Sri Hanuman Prasadji's grandson, it was very moving. So I'm sure by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, he'll be a good devotee.
Thank you. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, very, very grateful that you shared your personal, very sweet, very deep and affectionate interactions with Prabhupada. Thank you so much for revealing that. What I want to know is that the meeting of His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj then? That time he was like a young boy and he had a special interaction with Srila Prabhupada in Gorakhpur, I believe. So that happened in this particular visit or?
Oh.
Very...
Well, this was pretty early, 1971. I don't know for sure, but it seems pretty early. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Really grateful to you for sharing your personal pastime, very intimate pastimes with Srila Prabhupada. So, one pastime you share very heart touching when Kaushalya Mataji decorating the altar for the deities, tables and two saris, and they asked you to bring some leaves and the logs. So, in that pastime, you told that you have become very late to bring the the logs wood and those leaves, but still Prabhupada appreciated and say thank you and patted you on your back. So general devotional service is without any expectation, the intention is very important. But currently, if you see that everything, the timeline is given, target is given, and expectation is given. So, how to understand, how to make that connection without expectation, without any alternative, but how to understand that scenario with the current present scenario?
I don't know if I understand the question.
Srila Prabhupada appreciated you for your services
Yes?
and just patted your back and say
Yeah.
thank you. So that time is not the services, you brought the logs and the leaves, but it is the decoration is already already done, the decoration of the deities and all the things. So that time Prabhupada appreciated you and said thank you. But if we compare with the current scenario, we are given targets, timeline, expectations very clearly. So how to compare with both scenarios, that what is the best way to please Guru and Vaishnavas and Lord?
Well, we want to please our authorities. And if your authorities have given you timelines and targets and so on, you should try to meet them. The situation with Srila Prabhupada was different. It was just, and he engaged us to help him in his effort. But otherwise, for our service, having timelines and targets are good. We should try to fulfill the expectations. Is that all right?
Sometimes we are unable to fulfill the target or timeline. Sometimes we are unable to fulfill the targets or timeline. So what should be our intention or endeavor?
Well, if you do your best, that's all right. I mean, if you don't meet your target. Hare Sham Prabhu, do you have anything to say on this topic?
Hare Krishna. I always feel, Maharaj, many devotees have a tendency to catch hold of one side of the understanding. And Prabhupada, everywhere he travels, said, double it, he said.
Yeah.
And also Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada told Rameshwar Prabhu that within 2 months you have to bring 17 volumes, so actually it's not that I have to quote these examples, because devotees know more than me, so many pastimes. Prabhupada chasing after devotees. And also Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Gundicha Mandir margin also, Mahaprabhu, whoever collected the maximum amount of grains, the heap, Mahaprabhu appreciated that. So my understanding is, if you are Bhajananandi, sitting in a holy dham, in a secluded place and chanting, we don't need targets, we don't need goals. We can take care of ourselves and go back to Godhead. But in an organization, you told the Prabhupada said organization and intelligence. Those two things Prabhupada told you. So my understanding is, those who are really serious about assisting in Prabhupada's mission, they have to live in ISKCON, understanding that it's an office. It's just like an office and home, both. There's a home side, there's an office side, and people mix up things. They show one pastime of the home and say, see, Prabhupada is like this, Prabhupada is not like that. But if we take both sides of Prabhupada, then the combination will make sense.
He's satisfied. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you Maharaj for your wonderful class. I'm having a question regarding one pastime you shared. Prabhupada asked you that do you have desire to get married? And you said no. So I just want to ask that the desire to not getting married is developed after practicing Krishna consciousness, or we should develop it? Is it natural or we should develop it on our own?
Well, frankly speaking, I never had a desire to get married. And my reasoning was that we should love everyone equally. And so if I get married, I'll end up loving one person more than others. But why should I love that one person more than others? That was my thought process. So, yeah.
Thank you, man.
I just have an announcement to make.
Yes? Oh.
There's some books on this side here at the table that's authored by His Holiness Giriraj Swami, which is I'll Build Your Temple, Jewish story, which is quite well known now, and Many Moons, Lives of Departed Vaishnavas and other publications. And there's also Srila Giriraj Swami Vani. Means there's a 64 gig USB with an audio machine that you can play with. And I believe we only have 2, 4, 5 pieces left from what we have in the store. Of course, Srila Giriraj Swami Vani is also in relation to Srila Prabhupada Vani because he speaks so much about Srila Prabhupada, in his lectures. So you can avail yourself of these publications and the audio machines with the 64 gig on this side. And His Holiness Giriraj Swami will also autograph your book if you'd like. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण। यहाँ पर महाराज के द्वारा लिखा ये कुछ लेक्चर्स यहाँ पर अवेलेबल है। यहाँ पर पेन ड्राइव भी है, आप अपना लैपटॉप में इसको ये कर सकते हैं, प्ले कर सकते हैं। तो आज हम परम पूज्य गिरिराज स्वामी महाराज के द्वारा इसका इनॉग्रेशन करेंगे। सो वी रिक्वेस्ट महाराज टू इनॉग्रेट दिस वन। Increase the volume.
Yata bhagamavastita Vishvam eva virakshantu Bhavanta sava evahi. All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Please repeat. All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
This booklet is also available along with the audio tape. Hare Krishna. Those who want to take books from the books written by His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, the books are available here. You can take the books and come in queue so that you can get the signature from Maharaj. Hare Krishna. There are 4 books available here. The Juhu Story, Life's Final Exam, Many Moons, and Beej Ka Sinchan, that is in Hindi. You can take books from here. Hare Krishna. Watering the seed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We request Maharaj to give this tape as gift to His Grace Radhesham Prabhu. We request.
Hare Krishna. So, the pastime which Maharaj was speaking today is much more elaborate than what we have heard earlier in Leelamrita, as you all saw. Some very, very fine details Maharaj has taken note and presented today. So, Maharaj told us that he will continue this tomorrow. So, those who missed the nectar today, who are hearing on YouTube, are also likely to turn up tomorrow, and you may not get place tomorrow. So make sure you come early and catch a place. Actually, I will build you a temple book. We never knew about the contents of the book before. After it came out, it became a magnetic book, attracting the whole world. Now, for this book, Maharaj has already given us a clue how it's going to be. For me, the most favorite part of Prabhupada Leelamrita was Prabhupada coming to Surat, and then from there coming to Bombay, the Chowpatty Beach program, Sadhu Samaj program, and then Prabhupada, the Hare Krishna land after that. So you will see that the Cross Maidan Festival, Maharaj's role in Cross Maidan Festival, and then the one Cross Maidan Festival in Calcutta also. So these are some of the sections I used to cherish the most. But I came to know that this book is going to contain many great details about those things. Correct, Maharaj? So it's going to be dripping with nectar. Don't miss the opportunity tomorrow. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki. Let us thank Maharaj with very loud Haribo. 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 His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki. Srila Prabhupada ki.